As the brightest young minds in Australia, it is our purpose and responsibility to develop a cohesive presentation in order to assist Australian firms that may be looking to expand into the South Korean market on behalf of ND's researchers. Australia and South Korea have a partnership built on shared interests, economic compatibility, and deep personal connections. According to the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, between the year 2021 to 2022, South Korea held the position of Australia's largest trading partner and third largest export market. This presentation will outline and provide a critical analysis of South Korea's political and legal economy, economic and human development, the cultural differences, international trading theories, and trade policies for Australian firms.
For the first question, we start with the political system of the country. South Korea has transformed to a democratic country since the fall of authoritarianism in 1987, which can be seen through their constitution regulation that the president is elected based on majority votes and required to mandate a single 5-year term with no option for a second term. Like every regular election in democratic countries, a representative candidate can be anyone as long as they show a seriousness in terms of their election bid, evidenced by their readiness to deposit an election fee. This includes public officials wishing to run must resign from their office or the position either 90 days or 30 days before an election, depending on the office they seek, and the candidate can resign their candidacy at any time in writing and in person to the relevant commission. Furthermore, free expression and organization can be seen to thrive in the society with special emphasis on individuals' right of reputation and spread of factual information, although some exception like association with North Korea is prohibited and considered as an anti-government movement, as reported by Human Rights Watch. In regards to South Korea as an individualistic country, they are still merging themselves to individualism, especially for the younger generation, with the rise of individual economic and political freedom as collectivism rooted in their culture traditionally. In regards to its government transparency, the country is ranked 31st from the CPI 2022, which support the legal system, efficiency, and transparency in ruling fairly and independently. Secondly, for the country's economic system, South Korea implements a mixed economic system with a significant proportion of state ownership enterprise on considerably important sectors like gas, communication, and transportation. However, the government outreach declined historically, indicating progressive pursuit of personal interests as seen with losing state ownership in certain vital sector for mixed economic country like financial sector. Nonetheless, the country is a highly export-driven country, namely in healthcare and technology industries, with supportive government policy. This can be seen through their export performance as depicted by the graph on the slide, that they progressively move upward in terms of their technology export. Moreover, China and US are commonly some of their major export destinations, which take into account around 22 and 16% respectively in the country's export share, according to the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade. The country's economic success in balancing government and market intervention can be influenced by government's attempt in reducing market barrier by being relatively lenient in regards to product market regulation, and would help to lower productivity gap between large and small firms and reduce labor market dualism. Therefore, the countries depict a characteristic of mixed economic country. Lastly, about the country's legal system, according to the CF Factbook, South Korea implements a civil legal system, specifically a combination of European and Chinese classical thought, and currently there is a rise in Anglo-American law influence in the country. And not only that, with such dynamic and complex legal system that the country has, South Korea ranks second in terms of contract enforcement and 11 in dispute settlement as per the Doing Business report in 2020. Contract regulation in South Korea protect business by providing remedies such as specific performance when contracts are not fulfilled, maintaining a legal framework that includes the Trust Act, offering them legal means for dispute resolution and protection against contract breach, And the Trust Act basically makes it clear what action trustee can and cannot undertake, and this also take into account as a guides for the court to make decision concerning any benefits that trustee or any parties involved in the settlement might be entitled to, which indicates the importance of provision and acts in court decision. A patent court exists for hearing patent-related cases with the same juristic hierarchy level as the High Court. This offers protections for innovation and might incentivize both local and foreign manufacturers to invest more in research development, especially for those that are into a high innovation market.
The Human Development Index measures 3 basic dimensions of human development: long and healthy life, knowledge, and a decent standard of living. 4 indicators are used to calculate the index: life expectancy at birth, mean years of schooling, expected years of schooling, and gross national income per capita. South Korea measured a total of 0.926 points in HDI, with a life expectancy of 84 years of average, 81 years for males and 87 for females, and the education attainment for adults above the age of 25 years is 73.3%, according to the World Bank as of 2022. Countries around the world exhibit significant disparities in their economic development, often assessed through indicators such as gross national income. GNI serves as a benchmark for gauging a country's economic performance, representing the collective annual income earned by its residents. According to the World Bank, South Korea has a GNI of $35,990 per capita, which is approximately $2.472 trillion as of 2022. To account for differences in the cost of living, one can adjust GNI per capita by purchasing power. Referred to as purchasing power parity, it allows a more direct comparison of living standards in different countries. The World Bank has measured approximately $45,467 PPP as of 2022 for South Korea. Since the GNI per capita is less than the PPP, this can suggest that the cost of living is lower than South Korea, whereas $35,990 would buy you as much as $45K in the States. Gross domestic product is a standard of measure of the value added created through the production of goods and services in a country during a certain period. South Korea has developed a GDP of $1.646 trillion, which has consistently grown on average by 4.9% annually between 1988 and 2022. South Korea was once one of the poorest countries following the Korean War in the 1950s, thus forcing the nation to build its economy from scratch. With barely any natural resources left, South Korea had to depend and rely on its people. They first began exporting simple items such as fiber, garments, and footwear. However, the country had started succeeding in becoming an economic powerhouse by solely focusing on manufacturing and exporting hardware-based industries, primarily led by large corporations. It has immensely benefited the economy to rise and become the 11th largest economy and the 5th largest exporter of goods and services globally. Samsung and LG have become the top display makers worldwide. Hyundai and Kia combined are third in vehicle production numbers. However, in the era where innovative disruptors could overthrow strong incumbents, the country has been striving to use startups to foster such disruptive innovation, making the balance between industrial corporations and startups even more crucial. Korea hasn't always been known as a startup-friendly country. This recent development only occurred in the last few years thanks to the government support systems that help discover and nurture promising startups by selectively matching them with government funding. The number of new jobs created by startups in 2021 surpassed the number of jobs created by the 4 largest corporations combined. Whilst the government is republic, South Korea has a fairly mixed economic system which includes a variety of private freedom combined with centralized economic planning and government regulation. With this stark increase in economic growth and progress, the South Korean government has been led to a more democratic regime. The Property Rights Index measures the degree to which a country's laws protects property rights and the degree to which its government enforces those laws, which essentially means the more certain the legal protection of property, the higher a country's score. South Korea has arrived at a point of 89. This high score massively decreases the incentives for innovation and other entrepreneurship opportunities being stolen due to such a strong judicial system surrounding property law. While human development indicators unquestionably hold significance in evaluating the quality of life and well-being of a nation's workforce, it is often perceived that businesses prioritize economic considerations above all else. South Korea's dynamic economy, characterized by its vibrant workforce and an ethos of innovation, provides a conducive environment for Australian enterprises to flourish. By establishing a presence in the country, Australian firms can play a pivotal role in enhancing human development. This can be achieved through the creation of new job opportunities, fostering meaningful investment in education and training programs, and prioritizing the well-being of the employees. Moreover, South Korea's robust protection of property rights, as underscored by its commendable score in the Global Economy Index, augments the favorable environment for Australian firms contemplating entry into this market. This legal framework minimizes the risks associated with intellectual property theft and serves as a safeguard for innovative initiatives, consequently rendering South Korea an enticing destination for foreign businesses.
We can define the cultural differences between South Korea and Australia based on their social structure, religion, and political and economic philosophy. South Korea's social structure is often described as more group-oriented or collectivist rather than individualistic. This means that Korean society places a strong emphasis on the group, such as the family, workplace, or community, and values harmony, conformity, and the well-being of the collective over individual needs and desire. Traditional Confucian values have a significant influence on Korean culture and society for centuries. Confucianism emphasizes the importance of social hierarchy, respect for authority, and the fulfillment of one's role within the family and community. Contrarily, Australian society is recognized as more of an individualistic approach. Australia's society places a strong emphasis on individual rights and the freedom to make one's own choices. Additionally, a higher level of entrepreneurial activity is evident in Australia due to entrepreneurial spirit and innovation being encouraged. The second one is religion. Religion in society is a system of shared belief and ritual that are concerned with the realm of the sacred. Religion plays a significant role in shaping the cultural and social dynamic of both South Korea and Australia. South Korea is primarily influenced by Buddhism, Confucianism, and shamanism. Buddhism has a significant historical presence, and Confucianism has deeply influenced Korean culture and societal norms. While there is a growing Christian population in South Korea, Buddhism and Confucianism still play a significant role in shaping the culture. On the other hand, Australia is a religiously diverse country with no single dominant religion. The most commonly practiced religion is Christianity, with various Christian denominations represented. However, Australia is also home to a significant number of people who identify as non-religious, atheists, agnostic, or follow other religions, including Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, and Sikhism, due to its multicultural and diverse population. The third one is political and economic philosophy. South Korea is a democratic republic with a presidential system of government. It has a history of authoritarian rule but transitioned to democracy in the late 20th century. However, Australia is also a democratic country but follows a parliamentary system of government. It is also a constitutional monarchy with a Westminster-style parliamentary democracy. Australia's economic philosophy can be characterized by a mixed economy. This is due to the fact that the economic system combines elements of capitalism and government intervention. Similarly, South Korea also performs under a mixed economy. It has transitioned from a focus on heavy industry to high-tech and knowledge-based industry. The government has played a significant role in guiding economic development. Australia's economic philosophy also incorporates a commitment to social welfare. Not only that, we also can use Gert Hofstede cultural dimension. Gert Hofstede cultural dimension are a framework used to analyze and compare cultural differences between countries. The first one is power distance. South Korea tends to have a higher power distance, meaning that the hierarchical structure and respect for authority are important. Age and seniority are often highly regarded in social and workplace settings. On the other hand, Australia generally has a lower power distance. The society value equality and there's less emphasis on hierarchical structure. Australians are more likely to address each other by first names and have a more relaxed approach to authority figures. The second one is individualism versus collectivism. South Korea leans toward collectivism. Family and group ties are strong, and decisions often consider the well-being of the group over individual desire. Loyalty to one's company or organization is also highly valued. On the other hand, Australia is considered more individualistic. While family is important, there is a greater emphasis on individual rights, personal freedom, and individual achievement. Australians may prioritize personal goals and independence. The third one is masculinity versus femininity. South Korea tends to have a more masculine culture, emphasizing competition, success, and achievement. Traditional gender roles may still be more prevalent. However, Australia leans toward a more balanced or feminine culture. There's an emphasis on work-life balance, and both men and women are encouraged to express a range of emotion and value. The fourth one is uncertainty of avoidance. South Korea has a relatively high uncertainty of avoidance culture. People may be more averse to ambiguity and prefer clear rules and structure. Risk avoidance is common. And for Australia, generally has a lower uncertainty avoidance culture. Australians are often more comfortable with uncertainty and change. They may be more open to taking risks and adapting to new situations. The fifth one is long-term orientation versus short-term orientation. South Korea tends to have a long-term orientation. There's a focus on persistence, perseverance, and preparing for the future. Tradition and history play a significant role. And Australia often has a more short-term orientation. Australians may be more focused on the present and immediate result. There may be a greater willingness to adapt to changing circumstances. The last one is indulgence and restraints. South Korea tends to have a culture of restraints. There may be a focus on controlling impulses and adhering to social norms and rules. However, Australia is often characterized by a culture of indulgence. Australians may prioritize enjoying life and pursuing personal desire.
Engaging in international trade, South Korea should specialize in the technology industry, including products such as cars and mobile phones. This is due to the various factors of endowment, including enterprise and labour, which contribute to the high levels of education in South Korea, with it being the most educated country in the world, having almost a 70% tertiary education rate. This means that the South Koreans can produce better quality products and have highly skilled workers to make their technology. Looking at the economic theories of two prominent economists, Adam Smith and David Ricardo, I'll be exploring the technology industry within South Korea according to the two theories and consequently which theory the South Korean government should follow. Adam Smith, a Scottish economist and often referred to as the father of economics, introduced the concept of absolute advantage in his 1776 book, The Wealth of Nations. An absolute advantage is defined as a country that can produce a good more efficiently with fewer resources than another country. According to Smith, a country should specialize in the production of goods in which it has an absolute advantage in, and then trade these goods for the goods produced by other countries in order to increase wealth. In the context of South Korea, Smith's theory would mean that they should specialize in industries where they have an absolute advantage. South Korea has shown a remarkable ability to excel in high-tech industries, particularly the electronics and automotive manufacturing industries. Companies like Samsung and Hyundai have become global leaders in these sectors, demonstrating their efficiency and innovation. Therefore, according to Adam Smith, South Korea should continue to specialize in these industries when trading with other countries. David Ricardo, on the other hand, another influential economist from the UK, introduced the concept of comparative advantage in his 1817 book, The Principles of Political Economy and Taxation. Ricardo argued that even if one country doesn't have an absolute advantage in the production of any good, it can still benefit from trade by specializing in the production of goods in which it has a comparative advantage. Comparative advantages arises when a country can produce a good at a lower opportunity cost than another country. To determine South Korea's comparative advantage, consideration of the factors of endowment must be assessed, such as land, labour, capital and enterprise. As previously stated, South Korea has a well-educated and skilled workforce. They have significant capital investments in technology and a culture of innovation. These factors give it a comparative advantage in industries requiring high skilled labour and advanced technology, such as the IT industry. So now, which theory should the South Korean government follow when engaging in international trade? In my opinion, David Ricardo's theory of comparative advantage is more suitable for South Korea's economic strategy because of, firstly, the diversification comparative advantage allows. South Korea is able to diversify its economy and not rely too heavily on a limited set of industries, and this reduces vulnerability to economic shocks in the specific sectors. For example, during the pandemic, when car sales fell dramatically, as well as manufacturing plants slowing down or even shutting down entirely due to restrictions on travel and attempting to stop the spread of the virus. Without the diversity in South Korea's economy, they would have been much worse off. Secondly, the long-term growth can also be a positive of using Ricardo's theory by specializing in industries where South Korea has a comparative advantage. This will likely lead to sustainable long-term economic growth as it leverages the country's existing strengths. Global partnerships can also be made by engaging in industries where they have a comparative advantage. South Korea can promote international partnerships, encourage innovation, and participate in global value and supply chains more effectively. They are the fifth largest exporter in the world, with roughly $27 billion of exports going to China, the US, Vietnam, and Japan as of June 2023, according to the Observatory of Economic Conservatory, or the OEC. Ricardo's theory also allows for better resource allocation, with the comparative advantage encouraging efficient allocation of resources, which can lead to higher overall productivity and prosperity. In conclusion, both Adam Smith and David Ricardo's theory have their positive and negatives, but for South Korea, a country with a strong foundation of skilled labour and technological capabilities, pursuing a strategy based on comparative advantage or David Ricardo's theory appears to be the best choice. It allows them to build on their existing strengths, diversify their economy, and contribute to long-term sustainable growth while engaging in international trade.
The Korean government implements the oldest form of trade policy, which represents specific tariffs levied as a fixed fee based on the type of item and tariff quotas as amount limitations to manage the activity of its international trades. The usage of subsidies or government payments is also used to help domestic producers compete against emerging foreign competitors who create risks to overcome Korea's industries. South Korea acquires poverty when it comes to natural resources, which is why they import 94.8% of natural resource consumption, mostly on gas and crude oil. The Korean government reduced import tariffs for natural gas from 3 to 2% from October to December 2023, as established in December 2022 by the WTO, and decreases the import tariffs on crude oil from 3 to 2%. Because natural resources present one of Korea's vulnerabilities, as it doesn't specialize in its creation. Thus, with Korea's necessity to produce goods, the Korean government reduces natural resource tariffs so international exporters of oil and gas would be attracted to export to Korea, as they have no risk of cutting their price in order to compete, and will also increase the Korean consumer demand as an attraction to lower prices. On the other hand, Korea is a leading exporter of technology and machinery, specifically batteries and metal components. As a result, to keep this competitive position, the Korean government increased tariffs on precious metal components to 6.5% for a quota of 2,000 tons in 2023. Additionally, an increased tariff of 5.1% is induced in 2023 for nickel hydroxide batteries. These tariff increases are implemented to decrease or eliminate foreign trade competitors from exporting more components for technology and machinery, which signifies Korea's advantage. Foreign competitors would have to compete intensely with Korea's domestic markets, which implement cheaper product prices compared to what the foreign markets could offer. This results in a decreased Korean consumer demand to purchase expensive international imports rather than its domestic markets. There are also a large number of foreign electric vehicles registered in Korea, including over 40,000 Teslas registered. So, to ensure Korea's competitive advantage, the Korean government supplies 6.8 million won to subsidize the electric vehicle market. Due to the government's support in the creation and dissemination of innovative electric vehicle technology, South Korean companies have emerged as the market leaders in this area as of 2023. In a reflective form, if we act as the government of South Korea, implementing open access to trade for products or materials Korea has the least efficient production and specialization in by reducing tariffs, and also being supportive and protective when it comes to the competitive advantage Korea possesses through subsidies and tariffs is a great way to manage the economy. Therefore, we must understand South Korea's trade theory acquired in Porter's diamond model of competitive advantage to understand Korea's strengths and weaknesses further, on why these trade policies are being implemented by the government, and the suitable measures that can be taken by Korea to improve its performance. When it comes to factor endowment, Korea has a scarcity of natural resource as its basic factors. Instead, there are major investments in its advanced factors. Korea's competitive advantage relies on its skilled and tech-savvy labor force as well as government support with the provision of subsidies toward its large industries involving machinery and technology. South Korea also acquires high demand conditions as it has a growing population of over 50 million individuals who are able to promote the success of Korea's technology and machinery industry with continuous demands and pressure to deliver the best qualities and high standards. There are multiple big technological companies in Korea, including Hyundai, LG, and Samsung, that act as major players in shaping the Korean culture of innovation and competition, providing further support for the success of other related industries like IT, steel, and service sectors. In relation to these big companies, Korea implements a chaebol firm structure, which signifies the family dynasty, typically that of the organization's founder. These family members frequently hold executive positions, giving them more influence over how the companies run. Furthermore, South Korea's government investment in further research and development further promotes Korea's competitive advantage in its technological industry to acquire more advanced and highly qualified source materials to help compete in the global market. The POR model is implemented by South Korea to understand its competitive advantage state in the global economy and how it is able to promote Korea's economy for further success.